describe it as a misinterpretation of the situation? Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I had a 10-minute conversation with Saquon, and I just assumed and connected dots that weren't there. All those conversations went through his agent, obviously, again, I made a comment for 3 minutes that was misinterpreted, but by no means was it how it was portrayed.
So if you've got to see when you think about that, talk about presence that is kind of broad and some of this.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you guys have heard me talk about in the past of being the head coach of the offense or the head coach of the defense or special teams or by position. And I think he's done a really good job of that. There's a ton of time of explaining the why, which in 2023 I think is really important. I think student athletes and young people will do the same things that we did in the 90s and the 80s. They just want to know why. And I think Andy's doing a really good job of explaining the why and teaching football and really getting everybody pulling the rope in the same direction and excited about what we're going to be able to accomplish on offense this year. So it's been good so far, and I know the staff's enjoying it as well, and so are the players.
So James, how important is it? Teaching than installing right now?
Say that again.
Is it more about teaching than installing?
No, it's both. I mean, the teaching is the installing, right? But instead of just installing a play, it's why are we running this play and how does this play complement these other plays? So the why goes hand in hand with the install, if that makes sense.
James, with all three new coordinators, how important is it to actually get on the field? I mean, I'm sure you guys talked a lot and had discussions, but to get the players working under these guys out here.
Yeah, I think it's really important. But like I've mentioned already to you guys before, I think really the time that the coaches spent working through all the details and what needed to change and what didn't have to change from a terminology and from a philosophical standpoint. I think that was probably time well spent, if that makes sense. But then, yeah, I think getting out here, Tom has his way, Andy has his way, and I'm a big believer just being authentic and true to who you are. But I think, when you follow Brent Pry, that's challenging. You got to come in with confidence. You got to be comfortable in your own skin. When you follow Manny Diaz, you got to be confident with that, and you got to be comfortable in your own skin. And I think in a very, very short period of time, I think the guys have, connected with him. And right now we're flying around and playing with a ton of confidence on defense, which is great to see.
James, has the greened out rule with the helmet communication changed anything you might want to do on defense with who has to be on the field, or have you gotten to that point at all yet?
No, because what happened is this rule got changed so late that the company couldn't really get it out to all the schools in the country. They could only get out 3. So you got to decide how you're using those 3. So we're doing 2 quarterbacks and 1 guy on defense, typically a middle linebacker. One day it's Kobe, next day it's Elston. So it's not ideal. We're able to get some work at it right now, but it's not like we can treat it game-like where all 3 of your mics have it, all 3 of your quarterbacks have it, or so on and so forth. So I think the other thing is interesting thing is all this thing got pushed because of the whole sign stealing. And for the offenses that are no huddle, it doesn't change them at all because you still got to get the information to the wide receivers. How do you do that? You got to signal. So it doesn't really solve that issue. Now, do I think we should have had helmet communication the whole time? Yes. Do I think we should have been able to have tablets? We go to high school games, they got TVs on the sideline, and we can't have a tablet. So I think they're good changes, but I don't know if they necessarily are solutions to some of the challenges that have been out there that actually got the rule passed, if that makes sense.
James, we've seen JB getting some work at left tackle with Drew not available. We saw him mostly at guard last year, but can you speak to his versatility and where he is year 3 with you guys?
Yeah, he really always has done that for us in practice. Again, creating that flexibility as much as you possibly can. Obviously, it's magnified, so you're seeing more of it because with Shelton out. But yeah, he's a guy that we think has the ability, the physicality to be a guard and the athleticism to be a tackle, and has done a really nice job for us. So we try to create as much of that flexibility as we possibly can, but he's a guy that I think it's realistic with that actually could go in and play at a high level at both positions.
Coach, you mentioned liking how the defense is flying around. What do you like about what you've seen from the offense?
I just see a lot of fight. I think our offense is challenging our defense. I think they're really emotionally invested in having fun with it at practice. We're doing a ton of different things in terms of how it presents. Not a whole lot of different for our guys. The run game is pretty much the same. Hasn't changed a whole lot. There's a few wrinkles that I think you guys are aware of already, but besides that, it's pretty much our run game. But the way things present, I think, are more challenging for our defense. And again, I just think Andy taking the time of talking about why we do things and how we want to practice and how we want to play games, I just think there's more total buy-in because of understanding, if that makes sense.
Coach, you had a lot of former players here last week for Pro Day and whatnot. How much do they get to interact with the team at all, and how do the players react to their being there?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a ton of guys. We actually still got guys here right now. I think Tangelo and Castro Fields are still here. Saquon, Trace, and Grant Haley spoke to the team after practice. It's just been really good. I think whenever you can have those guys back is great. I think it's magnified. As we all know, this isn't the easiest place to get to. So the fact that guys come here and have a great time and are comfortable and are around our players and are in the weight room, I think it's a ton of value. I see them sitting in there eating, talking to our guys. So it's really good. It's really good. And then Pro Day, we got a bunch of Pro Day guys like Olu that have decided after Pro Day they're going to stay up here until the draft, which I think that's great as well. You know, we started a tradition, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I take those guys all out for dinner Pro Day, with dinner and some other things, and that's been a really cool thing as well, to be able to break bread with them kind of in a different setting when they're no longer playing for me anymore. And that's been a really cool deal, you know, for us with the players. So it's great having those guys around.
Coach, what's impressed you the most about A.J. Harris and Jalen Kimber since they've been on campus?
Yeah, I just think that their maturity and their presence. Kimber's played a ton of football. As you guys know, A.J. was a very, very highly recruited young man. And both of them, I think, have adjusted really well. They've both adjusted extremely well. I think they're enjoying themselves. I've had a bunch of meetings with those guys. And I think they're happy and they're enjoying themselves and playing well. Kimber's situation in terms of kind of late in his career is different than AJ's situation, but I've been very, very pleased with their adjustment, and they seem happy, except for today. When last week it was 70 degrees, and today the snow came back for one kid from Alabama, one kid from Texas. It's kind of like a psych. Not gone yet.
James, last week you said that there's a number of guys competing at the nickel spot to stay in the second.
Yep.
Through a couple of added segments. How does that spot work?
You want the depth chart?
No.
Sure.
Yes, you do. That's exactly what you asked.
They would love to have
Yeah, we got some guys at safety that are competing. We got some guys at corner that are competing for the job. It's too early to tell. I mean, we literally have had 2 padded practices. So for me to sit here and tell you I know where we're at, I don't. I do think the combination of being able to have Jay Reed, Zaki, and KJ Winston all at the field at the same time is exciting. And I would say that Zaki right now is playing his best football by far. And it's not us, it's just maturity. The light's gone on for him, and he understands what he has to do on a consistent basis to be the type of player that he wants to be, and it's pretty cool to see. But one of the things that I enjoy the most about doing this now for as long as I've been able to do is watching these guys' journeys and when they start to figure it out. So it's pretty cool.
James, we're going to get Sal in a matter of minutes here. Him coming back, what did that mean for your offense, for your offensive line? And was that one that you figured he was going to be back, or were you waiting until early January like a lot of us?
Yeah, we had with almost all these guys, we had conversations that had a pretty good idea what they were going to do. Sal was pretty open and transparent with us that he was coming back, and there wasn't a whole lot of drama associated with it. He felt like he needed another year to do what he wanted to do and for us to do what we want to do as a team. And really is handling it well right now. Is really handling it well right now. So taking on more of a leadership team, which is cool to see. Taking on more of a leadership role in the team, which is cool to see. But no, that wasn't necessarily a surprise. Most of the guys were pretty good with us, and I was asking them and the coaches to make sure they sat down and had conversations, them and their parents, to make sure we're all on the same page. And then the guys that were still trying to decide kind of help advise them.
Thank you.